Hi everyone, in today's video we are going to learn the anchors and escape sequence / character in RegEx pattern. So if you're interested in this topic, please continue watching. Alright, welcome back. So let's begin with the anchors. There are two types of anchors that I'm going to show you today. There are more that I'm not going to cover because I haven't found that much of useful cases for them. Now the anchors that I'm going to show you today are caret and $sign. Beginning with the caret or circumflex, this finds the match in the beginning of the haystack as well as all internal new lines, i.e. multiple lines. We're not going to go through multiple lines today. Multiple lines is reserved for later when we go into the RegEx option prefixes. So I'm going to show an example using multiple lines that uses caret to find the match in the beginning of all internal new lines in that video. But for today, I'm just going to use a single line. Caret also works as the not operator, as we have seen before in the not operator or negative class example in one of our previous videos. And by that I mean something like this. So these are going to mean, in the caret in this case is going to mean that we don't want to search for any of these. So everything except for these. We have learned that before. Now the $sign finds a match at the end, meaning before any new lines. If you have multiple lines, it will find matches at the end of each line, as well as at the very end of the haystack. So if you have multiple lines and then you try to find a match at the end of the first line, second line, third line, and let's say the fourth line is the last line, it will try to match the pattern at the end of the fourth line as well. Now the $sign in another context is called back reference, which is used to change the order of the matched patterns or convert the cases. And this is something I'm going to go through when we discuss the regex replace function. Now, so let's move on to the examples for anchors. Now, for the caret sign, I have only got a very simple example. And like I said, it's going to be a single line example like that. And this is the string that I'm putting in, and you place a caret like that before the regex pattern that you provide. The regex pattern we've got is this word called this, and that is going to match this one. So if you had, for example, this here and then removed this one, there's not going to be any matches. So let me just comment these out and run it to show you the result. I'm not going to get any matches. I'm going to get a value of 0, which means no match, and the output variable is going to be nothing. And if I remove that and replaced it in here, it's going to get a match of 1 because this is searching for this pattern in the beginning of the string that we provide. Okay, so next up we have got the $sign examples, and as with the caret sign, I'm not going to show you the multi-line example today. I will cover that together with the multi-line example for caret, and with the $sign because we are doing the match at the end of the string. In our case here, when we provide a regex pattern like that, has a word that is followed by a $sign like that. This means I'm going to find this word at the end of the string that I'm providing, which is this one, and that's not going to be this one. If you take the $sign out, then that's going to match the first match of the word, whereas if you put the $sign back in, it's going to match the last one. All right, so next example, we have 3 groups consisting of small letters from A to Z, and what this is going to do is it's going to find the first instance beginning from the beginning of the string or the left side of the string. It's going to find the first instance of a consecutive occurrence of small letters A to Z, and so that's going to be this one. I said it's gonna return a value of 8, and so that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's gonna be these three. And then with this one, we're doing the same thing, but I am putting the $sign at the end, which means I am doing a match of 3 consecutive occurrences of small letters A to Z, but this time I'm going to find only the match that occurs at the end of the string that I'm providing, not anything within the string, and only at the end when there is a consecutive occurrence of small letters A to Z, we're going to match that. And then the next example we've got uses boundaries. I'm not entirely sure why I have put that in. I think I just put that in as an alternative to this $sign at the end. But this boundary, because it's something that I have covered in the character classes, so I'm not going to go through that. Let me just remove these examples and go ahead and run the script. Then the first message box that I get is 27, which is going to be the beginning of this word at the end of the string. And then that's going to return line. And then number 8, that represents the beginning of the word good, and then goo, and then lastly number 13, which should be around here when the word man begins, and then the word that we get from the output variable is man. All right, so that's it for the $sign, and that marks the end of the anchors. So let us move on to the escape sequence. By escape sequence, what I mean is some characters, such as these ones down here, so backslash, dot, asterisk, question mark, plus, blah, 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 they require a special character, this one, backspace, in order for you to mean them as literal. What that means is, if you want to find a backslash, then you need to provide 2 instances of backslash. So I've got an example for that. So let me just quickly show you. So here I have a string that has a backslash inside of it. If you want to find this backslash as a RegEx pattern, then you need to put in 2 instances of RegEx. And I got an error for that because I did not comment this out. So let me just go ahead and run it again. And I get number 12, and the output variable is going to be nothing, because again I have forgotten to put in the output variable at the end. So first is 12, and I get the output variable as that. So okay, so that was one example I've got. Let me just copy and paste over all the examples I have here. Okay, so the first example I've got is this one, which uses the escape sequence in order to literally mean a full stop, and so that's gonna find this full stop. And then the next one is what I have discussed already, so I'm gonna skip that one. And then what I have here is to demonstrate to you the difference between the escape sequence used by AutoHotkey and that is used in RegEx. So in AutoHotkey, for example, if you want to mean double quotation, because double quotation is a very often used special character, right, or punctuation mark, and so when we want to search for double quotation, we have to provide 2 double quotes in order to mean a single double quote, right? So what this is going to do is it's going to first of all assign this string into this variable called string, and we're using a legacy assignment. So this is going to be literally put into the variable string, and then we're going to perform a search for what comes inside the quotation marks. So these are going to be single quotation marks, right? So the quotation mark that sits outside is going to mark the beginning of our regex pattern, and then the last quotation mark is going to mean the end of the regex pattern, and then what goes inside will start with this double quote, which will mean single quote, and then the double quote here also means single quote. And the dot basically means anything except for new line sequence, so that's going to match anything inside the double quotation marks, which means single quotation marks. And then the plus extends this and looks at least one occurrence of dot and any more than that. So what this is going to do is it's going to find this using the double quote here. It's going to match that, and then it's going to grab all of this. It's going to consume all of this up and then end here when you see a double quote here. So that's the escape sequence for quotation marks in AutoHotkey. So that's something that you have to be mindful of when you are using RegEx and AutoHotkey together. All right, so we are going to move on to the last example for today, and that example is going to show you a good instance of using the escape sequence for AutoHotkey and RegEx as well. And I have got a sample string which is in the format of JSON, and it looks like this. This is a string that I have got from my YouTube channel. When I go to view source within the videos section, I should be able to find this. So if I just do a search for this string, it should be there somewhere. Here we go. So that's there. So now what I'm trying to do with this string is that I'm trying to just grab this bit here, which represents the value within this key value pair. Okay, so I want for this key called text, I want the value extracted. And in order to do that, what I'm doing here using the regex is I'm putting in a lot of escape sequence, because all of these require escaping to mean literal. So what I'm trying to match is I'm going to first find out this bit. Whenever there is this bit occurring, I'm going to start the match. And then when there is an ending like this, I'm going to end the match there. And that's represented by this regex pattern here. And so starting with this, we've got a square bracket. We've got a square bracket here as well, but that needs to be escaped. So I put in a backslash here. And then likewise, the curly braces, opening curly braces needs to be escaped. So there's a backslash here. And then you have a quotation mark. And for AutoHotkey, you need double quotes or double quotation marks, so that you would mean a single quotation mark. So you've got that there. And then the word text, which is pretty easy and straightforward. And then another double quote, which is doubled up here. And then a colon, and then another double quotation mark here. So you've got double quotation mark here. And then I am putting in the parentheses. This is something that I haven't covered yet, but I'm showing you this for the first time. And the parentheses are required when you're just trying to grab the value that sits inside the parentheses within the regex pattern. So what that means is my output variable here will have all of this assigned, whereas my output variable 1 will have just this assigned. So I'm going to show you in a bit. Let me just finish it up first. So parentheses is opened here, and then you have the dot, which means any character, including spaces and etc. And you have the plus sign, and this is something that I haven't covered yet as well. This is to make the search ungreedy or lazy. And this is a concept I'm going to cover in a future tutorial, so I won't be explaining this in this video. And then the close parenthesis, and then you have the double quote to mean this double quotation mark here. And then you have the curly braces and square bracket to close the regex pattern out. So if I go ahead and run the script, then first of all, I'm going to get number 12, which should be this one, and then the dot as the output variable, and then the second one, number 12, which should mean beginning of the word this with the quotation mark, and we're getting that back. And then with this one, so the message box that you see here is the output variable, and as you probably noticed, it grabs everything from the beginning of the regex pattern to the end of the regex pattern. So the beginning of the regex pattern to the end of it is all grabbed and assigned into output variable. And then the next one only grabs the value inside the parenthesis here. So it's not getting anything outside of that parenthesis. So these are not being included in output variable 1. This is called capturing a sub pattern, and this is one of the things that I'm going to cover in my next video, which is going to be about parentheses. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.